Hi, it's Susan Riley from EducationCloset.com, and I'm back with yet another technique to use in your classroom for arts integration, one of my absolute favorites, and that's mirroring. All right, again, this is an interactive technique, so I want to make sure that you're participating along with me. Otherwise, I'm just going to look like a mime, which I'm not very good at, so please play along. All right, in the mirroring technique, you have students stand across from each other in pairs, and I really recommend pairs, so if you have an odd number of students, I would jump in as the instructor and be that other partner. In the mirroring technique, one person chooses to be the leader and the other person chooses to be the follower. So for today, I'll be the leader and you're going to be the follower. And we're going to put our hands up across from each other. And whatever my hands do, you are going to mirror with your own hands. All right? We're not going to talk about it, obviously. We can't talk. But make sure you turn off that voice tool and that we're not giggling or whatever. You really need to focus and concentrate in order to do this activity. Are you ready? Here we go. Okay. All right, so you can have a little bit of fun with that. You want to make sure that students are going all the way up and down and really exploring their space. Make sure that there is a combination of fast and slow. Let them really play with this a little bit. The kids really like that. Once you have the leader finish up, and I really only give them 30 seconds, maybe a minute at the most. Then we switch roles, so whoever was the follower is now the leader becomes the follower. You do that same process. Then the third step becomes the tricky part and the extension that we really want them to be using. The third part is that you return to the original leader. That leader begins and the follower follows. But then at some point, the leader is going to transfer the leadership role over to the follower. But they're not going to communicate that in any particular way. They're not going to have a sign, a signal. They're definitely not going to use their voice tool and say, "It's your turn now." Somehow they're going to have to figure out a way to get the other person to understand that they are now the leader and the leader is becoming the follower. Now, that's where this activity becomes super helpful in a classroom because it's doing a variety of things. Number one, it's forcing students to have to problem solve in a very unfamiliar way. There's no signal that they can depend on. They're really going to have to use all of their senses, so they're going to have to be highly attuned to what it is that they're doing. And the other thing is that it allows them to feel that discomfort. We want our students to feel discomfort, not to the point where they're really truly frustrated. And if I see that, and there are instances where that happens, then I walk over to that particular group of students and I might say, you know what, let's come up with a signal that when I do this motion, it's going to be your turn. But you really want to wait to offer that kind of support until students have a chance, an opportunity to take the time to figure it out on their own. We talk all the time about wait time, and yet we still don't allow our students the ability to struggle through something. So this really offers that in a safe way. The other reason I really like this is that it pairs very nicely with math Common Core standards that we're looking at, particularly in terms of geometry and symmetry, patterns. So we can have our students mirror a pattern that they create, or we could have them mirror particular angles, maybe right angles, obtuse and acute, and we need to be able to see that. So it gives students a way to demonstrate understanding that's not paper and pencil, and that's also encouraging problem solving, multiple brain skills. Remember, when your hands cross, your brain crosses, so it's that brain-friendly connection in there. And it can even become an assessment tool. Usually the next step for me when I introduce that in terms of angles, for instance, I might go out and get a couple of those plexiglass stands that you see in restaurants that you can slide a paper in and change pretty quickly. They're like $1 at Staples or at Office Depot. I usually go get a variety of those things and put them in front of those 2 students or the groups of students that I have and give each of them a dry erase marker. And then I tell them you're going to do the exact same activity you did with your hands, but this time one person's going to be the leader and you're going to draw for me an acute angle, 2 right angles, and 3 obtuse angles in whatever you're drawing on the plexiglass. You can draw everything else that you want, but I need to see those angles. And one person is going to be the follower, the other person is going to be the leader. And when you do that, right there then on the plexiglass, you can see immediately, oh, okay, they do understand what a right angle is, they do understand what an acute angle is, they do understand what an obtuse angle is, or who might be struggling, because you know if it's the leader, they're the ones who have to demonstrate that understanding, and you can always switch roles. So it really does become a great assessment tool. So again, yet another strategy for you to use in an arts integrated classroom. Please check back here at Education Closet if you implement this and let us know how it goes, or different ways that you could use the mirroring technique in your classes. Thanks, have a great day.